Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Well, I've just read that comedian Dave Chappelle has been nominated twice for an Emmy Award for a Netflix, I think it's a Netflix comedy show called The Closer, and he got nominated for an Emmy for it. Now, whether or not he wins that Emmy or not is another story, but the fact is he got nominated for this Emmy twice, I believe. And needless to say, the radical left is coming out against him, angry with him because he got nominated. So listen, I'm going to get into this article. I'm going to give you my commentary on this. Suffice this to say, I'm going to give you a hint of what I want to, because I got a lot to say about this. Whatever your convictions are, you need to stand on them. But let's get into this. Let's get into this. Let's get into this, man. So the article starts off, leftists have been raging on social media in response to comedian Dave Chappelle receiving an Emmy nomination for his Netflix stand-up special, The Closer. Now, I haven't seen this special or anything like that. I haven't seen it. But I will say this before I read further. I've always admired Dave Chappelle. The guy is funny as what. I don't agree with everything he said. Like, I think it was several years ago, he made a comment about Candace Owens that I disagree with. I think it was on one of his comedy shows. I disagree with. So he's not necessarily conservative, but he's clearly he's not conservative. But he's just someone that where if he sees something that's extreme, he speaks out against it. And that's the issue. He's willing to speak out against it, and then he stands on his convictions. But let's go on. I admire the man. The man is hilarious. His show, the Dave Chappelle Show? If you haven't seen that show, you need to see that show. I think it came out in like 2005, something like that. But that show had me laughing so hard, I couldn't take it. I couldn't watch it all. I was laughing too much. Anyway, article on, on Tuesday, despite months of intimidation from far-left LGBTQ activists, the Emmys gave Dave Chappelle The Closer not one, but two nominations in the categories for Outstanding Pre-Recorded Variety Specials and Direction of a Variety Special. Awesome, man. This is awesome. And it goes on to say, during the special, Chappelle openly mocked radical elements of the transgender movement, from its cancellation of author J.K. Rowling to its insistence that society conform to their demands. And let me say this on this. According to what this article is saying, there is insistence that society conform to their demands. That's what ticks me off about this. Most people in this country, if not all, could care less about whether or not you want to be transgender or gay or whatever. That's your choice as an American citizen. If that makes you happy, fine. But when you try to insist that society conform to what you want, that's when it becomes a problem. Now, somebody may argue, well, back in the early days of America, they tried to conform, the conservatives tried to get us, conservative individuals and Christian individuals tried to get us to conform to their demands for prayer in the schools and conform to their demands of the Ten Commandments. I'm like, and if that argument is raised up, to me, that argument to me is not fitting, because even if I'm getting you to conform to morality, is that going to damage you? To conform to morality, demand that you conform to moral values, demand that you conform to the concept of right and wrong, that's going to damage you psychologically? Are you kidding me? To me, that argument, if someone brings that up, doesn't fit. But anyway, let's go on. Intense backlash immediately followed as Netflix employees staged walkouts, while the overall media labeled Dave Chappelle as, quote, a transphobe, of course. Nevertheless, Chappelle, here's the key word, nevertheless, Chappelle persisted, and the same people who protested his special are now outraged that the Emmys have honored him with a nomination. So you got stuff like Dave Chappelle, one tweeted, Dave Chappelle getting Emmy noms for his transphobic special is just disgusting. Do better, TV Academy. Whatever. And Marlon Stern, I'm just going to read a couple of these tweets. Tim Heidedecker on Dave Chappelle. I'm not going to spring a leader I'm not going to spring a leader in the anti-trans movement. Fine, bye. That's my words. I mean, whatever, man. That's your choice, bro. All right, that's your choice. You do what you want to do. That's your choice. But I'm going to skip all the rest of these silly tweets. The article goes on to say the Emmy nomination comes after Dave Chappelle declined to have a performing arts theater at his former high school bear his name following woke student backlash over the closer. During a recent dedication ceremony, Chappelle announced that the theater's name will instead be called the Theater for Artistic Freedom and Expression. Excuse me. These kids didn't understand that they were instruments of artistic oppression, Chappelle said at the ceremony. Absolutely. Let me say this. He's absolutely right. A lot of these kids, they don't know no better. They're being used as useful idiots by the elite. They don't know no better. So I'm not even really mad at these young people. They're being brainwashed. They are being brainwashed. Chappelle is absolutely right. They're being used as instruments of artistic oppression. Okay. He goes on to say, the more you say I can't say something, the more urgent it is for me to say it. In the heat of the controversy, Chappelle held a Q&A with 600 students and was met with fierce criticism as they accused him of endangering transgender lives and handling criticism like a, quote, child. Though the school delayed the dedication ceremony, it did not back down from its decision to name the theater after Chappelle. Let me say this about this idea where he says they're endangering transgender, that they met him with fierce criticism and they accused him of endangering transgender lives and handling criticism like a child. Really? You got students, basically children, telling Dave Chappelle, who disagrees with what they're trying to push, you're responding, you're handling criticism like a child. A child telling you you're handling criticism like a child because you object or disagree with their worldview. You can't make this stuff up, man. I don't even want to say that about that. Let's finish this. While we appreciate Dave's impromptu and spirited fundraising initiative, we stand behind our decision to honor the wishes of our co-founder, the late Peggy Cooper Catfritz, to name the theater after Chappelle, a statement from the school said at the time. All donations will go towards arts programming, and every donor, irrespective of their support or opposition to the theater naming, will receive an official thank you from our team. End of that discussion. End of that article. A round of applause for Dave Chappelle. Okay, you know, I'm glad he did what he did. But I just wanted to say this. I haven't seen The Closer, and I haven't seen any of his Netflix comedy shows necessarily. People have suggested you need to watch some of them. I haven't seen them, you know. I'm not really into the modern comedy sketch things, you know, comedy shows that much. I'm not really into them that much. But at any rate, hooray for him. But here's what I wanted to say. And I said this earlier in the introduction to the video. Whatever a person's convictions are, you need to stand on them, because here's the deal. We can make statements, and in an environment that we're in now where there's so much opposition, mainly coming from the radical left, not regular leftists, but the radical left, these crazy people out here trying to push this agenda on you through trying to counsel you or even acts of violence or threats of violence. Them the ones I'm talking about. When you take a stand on your convictions and you persevere, blessings is on the way. Now, I can understand why some celebrities back down and apologize, but it really bothers me when they do that. Just recently, and I was going to do a video on her, but I decided not to. R&B singer Macy Gray, several weeks ago, made a statement in an interview. I cannot remember what show she was on, but made a statement in an interview that, and I'm paraphrasing the words, that no matter what you try to do as a man to try to change yourself into a woman, you still a man. And she told the truth. She told the truth. She wasn't giving her opinion. That was the truth. No matter what you try to do to change your appearance, you still a man. Naturally, you still a man. You can change. I mean, it's just like me dressing up in a whole bunch of drag. I'm still a man, you know. Well, you can kind of say that, but and try to pretend all day that I'm a woman. I'm still going to be a man. So she told the truth. Needless to say, she got a lot of backlash from the LGBT community and transgender people. She got a lot of backlash. So then, accordingly to the heading of an article that I didn't get a chance to read, but I saw the heading of the article, and then I also saw the heading of a video by one of my conservative YouTubers who I have a subscription to. I can't remember who. That basically says she came back and apologized. She apologized for what she said. That's what disturbs me. Is when if you know something to be true, and it's not, even if it's your opinion, if you know something to be true and you're convicted about it, then you should stand on it in spite of the opposition. Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, is a classic example of someone who perseveres in the face of opposition, and he holds his ground and holds on to his convictions, to facts and to the truth. And what happens? Blessings come. Now, whether or not he actually gets the Emmy Award or not is another story. But the fact that they nominated him twice for this shows that perseverance in the face of opposition pays off. What people don't want to do, what a lot of these celebrities don't want to do, is they make these statements and then because of the pressure, they back down and apologizing. What the heck are you apologizing for? See, what happens is when you back down from the truth and you give in to the woke mob and you give in to apologizing, it's easier for you to back down the next time. Once you back down, once you back down, it's easier for you to back down the next time. Once that celebrity backs down on that situation, next time something comes up, either they're not going to say anything about it, or they're going to back down. If they do, they're going to be like, well, it is what it is. I'm not finna get into it. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So you don't see this kind of stuff a lot. You don't see celebrities standing on their convictions. You don't see this a lot. And I'm glad that there's more people that are sensible, that are sensible. And like I said, I don't believe Dave Chappelle is conservative or any of that. And I think he's kind of like in the middle. Dave Chappelle he's someone who sees both sides and he criticizes both sides, even if I don't agree with his criticism. Like I said earlier about Candace Owens in the sketch, it was a clip that I saw. He called her a B. That B, she this, she that. And I'm like, oh man, come on now. Really? When Candace Owens simply tells the truth. It's just people get offended by her, not because she merely tells the truth. That's part of it, but the way she presents it. She comes hard in your face, presenting the truth. People get offended by it. She's like a conservative preacher. People get offended by preachers preaching against sin because they come so hard, like Gino, that YouTube Pastor Gino, forget his last name. He comes hard. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with all the theology, but he comes hard. He stands on what he believes. He stands on it even in the face of opposition. That's what it's all about. Standing on your convictions, standing on what is true, standing on what you believe. And I commend him once again for what he has done. And I hope and pray that more celebrities who have certain conservative views will stand on those conservative views, even in the face of intensive, prolonged opposition. The test of what you believe is not what you say. The test of what you believe is when you persevere. That's the test of what you believe. Anybody can get on TV and make an assessment. You still a man. You still a man if you try to get a sex change. You still a man. It sounds good. You're going to get a pat on the back probably for some conservatives, but the test comes when you are pressured to give in. The test comes when the left try to criticize you and try to cancel you. That's where the test comes. Will you pass the test? Macy Gray didn't pass the test. And a lot of these celebrities that have these conservative views, even if they're not conservative per se, don't pass the test. But I implore them to pass the test. Stand on what you believe in. Stand on the truth. Believe it or not, quiet as it may be kept, there are a lot of people, whether they're on the left or right. All people on the right stand on with you. But there are people on the so-called left that may have the label of the left but live a conservative life, and they like, thank you for standing on what you believe in. Thank you for standing on what is absolutely true. So that's my words on it. What do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.